On this day in history, November 19th, Christopher Columbus went ashore on an island he had spotted the day before on November 19, 1493, naming it San Juan Bautista, later renamed Puerto Rico. This landing marked another significant expansion of Spanish territorial claims in the Caribbean. The United States and the Kingdom of Great Britain signed Jay's Treaty on November 19, 1794, attempting to resolve lingering issues from the American Revolutionary War. The treaty helped prevent another war between the two nations and improved commercial relations. The Montreal and Lachine Railroad, Canada's second railway line, opened on November 19, 1847, marking an important step in the country's transportation infrastructure development. This railway line helped connect Montreal's port with inland trade routes. President Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address on November 19, 1863, at the dedication ceremony for the military cemetery at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. This brief but powerful speech would become one of the most famous addresses in American history. Bulgarian forces achieved victory in the Battle of Slivnitsa on November 19, 1885, solidifying the unification between the Principality of Bulgaria and Eastern Rumelia. This military success helped establish Bulgaria as a significant regional power. The Serbian army captured Bitola on November 19, 1912, ending 5 centuries of Ottoman rule in Macedonia. This victory represented a significant shift in Balkan power dynamics. Samuel Goldwyn and Edgar Selwyn established Goldwyn Pictures on November 19, 1916, laying the foundation for what would become one of Hollywood's major film studios. Their company would later contribute to the formation of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Soviet forces under General Georgy Zhukov launched Operation Uranus on November 19, 1942, turning the tide of the Battle of Stalingrad in the USSR's favor. This counteroffensive would lead to the eventual surrender of the German Sixth Army. 30 members of the Luxembourgish resistance defended the town of Vianden against a larger Waffen-SS attack on November 19, 1944, in what became known as the Battle of Vianden. Their brave defense helped protect their town from German occupation. General Dwight D. Eisenhower became Supreme Commander of NATO Europe on November 19, 1950, bringing his considerable military experience to the newly formed alliance. His leadership helped strengthen NATO during its early years. Europe's oldest private television channel, Tele Monte Carlo, was launched by Prince Rainier III on November 19, 1954, marking a significant milestone in European broadcasting history. The channel would go on to serve viewers in Monaco and surrounding regions. The first issue of National Review was published on November 19, 1955, establishing what would become one of America's most influential conservative publications. The magazine would significantly shape conservative thought in the United States. TVB, Hong Kong's first wireless commercial television station, was established on November 19, 1967, revolutionizing broadcasting in the region. This launch marked the beginning of a new era in Hong Kong's media landscape. On November 19, 1969, Apollo 12 astronauts Pete Conrad and Alan Bean made a precision landing at Oceanus Procellarum, also known as the Ocean of Storms, marking NASA's second successful crewed mission to the Moon. Unlike Apollo 11, which landed in an open, smooth area, Apollo 12 targeted a specific landing site near the Surveyor 3 probe to demonstrate NASA's growing confidence in lunar navigation. During their 7.5-hour moonwalk, Conrad and Bean collected rock samples, installed scientific instruments, and examined the Surveyor probe, further advancing lunar exploration. Brazilian football legend Pelé scored his historic 1,000th goal in a match for Santos FC against Vasco da Gama at the Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro on November 19, 1969. Known as the Goal of the Thousand, O Milésimo, this milestone goal came from a penalty kick, solidifying Pelé's place as one of the sport's most prolific scorers. The event was celebrated globally, highlighting Pelé's incredible talent and impact on the world of football. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini ordered the release of 13 female and Black American hostages from the U.S. Embassy in Tehran on November 19, 1979. This partial release was a significant moment in the ongoing Iran hostage crisis. In 1985, U.S. President Ronald Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev held their first meeting in Geneva, marking a turning point in Cold War relations. This summit, held on November 19 to 20, aimed to ease tensions and reduce the nuclear arms race. While no major agreements were signed, the leaders built a rapport, setting the stage for future arms control negotiations and a gradual thaw in U.S.-Soviet relations. Their discussions laid the groundwork for subsequent summits and a collaborative approach toward nuclear disarmament, symbolizing hope for a new era of diplomacy. Pennzoil won a record $10.53 billion verdict against Texaco after Texaco purchased Getty Oil on November 19, 1985, despite an existing agreement between Pennzoil and Getty. Though the deal wasn't signed, Pennzoil argued it was binding, and a Texas jury agreed. The massive judgment underscored the importance of business ethics and contract law. The UK's first national lottery on November 19, 1994, draw offered a chance at life-changing wealth for a £1 ticket, with odds of 1 in 14 million for correctly picking 6 out of 49 numbers. The draw captured the nation's attention, as it was the first state lottery since 1826, and raised funds for public projects, reshaping British culture and funding. Space Shuttle Columbia launched on STS-80 on November 19, 1996, setting a record 17-day mission that included research on microgravity effects and satellite deployment. Astronaut Story Musgrave became the only astronaut to fly on all 5 shuttles, highlighting his experience and the program's flexibility in advancing space exploration. Space Shuttle Columbia launched again on mission STS-87 on November 19, 1997, focusing on microgravity science and satellite deployment. The mission included conducting combustion experiments and deploying the Spartan satellite, despite issues with its capture, advancing NASA's microgravity and space science programs. The U.S. House Judiciary Committee opened impeachment hearings against President Bill Clinton following the Monica Lewinsky scandal on November 19, 1998. Accusations of perjury and obstruction of justice fueled intense public and political scrutiny, leading to Clinton becoming the second U.S. president impeached by the House. China launched its first Shenzhou spacecraft on November 19, 1999, marking a significant milestone in its space program. The unmanned mission demonstrated China's commitment to achieving human spaceflight capability and was the first step toward joining the elite group of countries with human space missions. John Carpenter became the first contestant to win the top prize on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on November 19, 1999, securing $1 million by answering all questions correctly without using his lifelines until the final question, a moment that captivated TV audiences and popularized the game show format. The oil tanker Prestige sank off Galicia, Spain, releasing over 20 million gallons of oil on November 19, 2002. The disaster spread environmental devastation across Spain and Portugal's coastlines, spurring intense criticism over response efforts and leading to new regulations on maritime safety and oil transportation. The infamous NBA brawl between the Detroit Pistons and Indiana Pacers, known as Malice at the Palace, resulted in multiple suspensions, fines, and legal charges for players and fans, happened on November 19, 2004. It raised questions on player conduct and fan interaction, leading to stricter NBA policies on security and behavior standards.